Hey, you guys, guess what we're gonna do today? So you're really, really lucky. I'm gonna take the time to film this for you. We're gonna make salsa, and this is Auntie Sherri's salsa. I got the recipe from her. I don't know where she got the recipe from, but it takes a little bit to make, but it's awesome. A little bit spicy. If you don't like spice, don't eat it, or put less chipotle peppers in it. So basically, this is what we're gonna need. Just to make the dressing, so this is probably the most time consuming. It's 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Let me see if I can actually show you some of these things. So in your supermarket, you'll just get like product that will just say red wine vinegar. Okay, that's pretty simple. 2 tablespoons of lime juice. What I usually do is I just get a fresh lime and I squeeze it with my little squeezy thing. 2 tablespoons of honey, a quarter cup and 2 tablespoons of oil, a clove of garlic, fresh garlic, a quarter teaspoon of dried oregano, 3/4 teaspoon of cumin. Where are we here? 3/4 teaspoon of salt, a quarter teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. Let me show you what that one looks like. It just looks like this. Pretty easy. Just like that. Chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. That's what I buy. You're not going to use the whole can. I freeze what I don't use, but the stuff that I have frozen doesn't have quite enough adobo sauce, and the last time that I made it, it needed to be a little bit more spicy. John, it was a little bit mild. John likes it spicy, and we're making this for a barbecue tonight, so. And the people who are eating use hot sauce, so we're gonna put a little bit of that in there. And then, so that's the dressing for the salsa. That one's gonna take a little bit of time to make. And then the actual salsa part is corn, red onion, black beans, bell peppers. I like to use orange bell peppers or red ones, just for the color, because we're going to have the yellow corn, we are going to have the black beans, and I like the color of the orange, so that's really more for me, but it could be just not green, okay? I wouldn't use green, I would use red, orange, or yellow peppers. Avocado, tomatoes, and fresh cilantro. And so, without further ado, let me show you what all these ingredients look like. Now, for the black beans, we use dried black beans, and I've been soaking them overnight. They only needed to be soaked for 6 hours, but let me just, we'll get into that. I've got to boil them for a little bit. And so this is what all the ingredients look like. All right. So this one right here is the black beans. The water was clear yesterday when I put the water on. It's turned black now, and we are going to be boiling that up. So I got my pot over here on the stove. That's probably a lot more black beans than what we really need. However, we'll boil them up, and what we don't use in the salsa, we'll probably have for supper another night. While I'm boiling up the black beans, I'm going to throw in the corn. The corn that I use, they say that you should just use the fresh corn right off the cob, except I just get some organic frozen corn. So that all needs to be boiled up. The corn could probably just get rinsed. However, since I'm boiling the black beans anyways, I'm just gonna do it like that. A couple of the tools that I use this little, the brand is Tupperware, but it's like a little mini hand blender. It's got a blade. It's got a blade inside, and this is what I'm gonna use to mix up a lot of the sauce. I got my garlic clove, and so we're gonna start on the dressing. A lot of my spices here, the oil. I don't use as much oil as this recipe calls for. I just feel like it's unnecessary to add more fat to it, even though it is, organic olive oil. That's fine, we're still not going to. I have my food processor out, That's going to help us do some of the heavy lifting. You don't need a food processor though. What you mainly need is a cutting board and your favorite knife. So I'm going to put some of this together, and we'll talk to you guys in a minute. I'll show you what the beginning of the sauce looks like. See you soon. Okay, you guys, I wasn't sure of the best way to tackle this video because I feel like there's so many little steps in this recipe. So just now what I did was I prepped some of the vegetables, so you can see the scraps here. I have my orange pepper and my red onion. I prepped my avocados. So I have a bunch of avocados here. I prepped my limes that I'm going to be doing, and now I prepped the garlic. So I've given you the exact measurements for the salsa. However, I never use the exact measurements, so I'm going to do it the way that I do it. You guys are welcome to follow the recipe. Probably best results. Mine, I just kind of put some stuff in and we taste as we go. So let's start with the garlic. We'll put that in there. Then what else do we need? Let's do the lime juice, I guess. So I'm going to use my handy dandy juicer thingamabob. These limes were really hard. I might need to get John to come and help me. Oh, I just can't even actually. I'm way too weak. We're going to have to use a different little tool to do these limes because they're really firm. They were so firm I could hardly even roll them. So give me 1 sec. Let's use this guy. So our little juicer. So we'll use this. See if you can see that. Can't get it out gently then. So that's going to take me a few minutes. So when I pause the video, I'll finish the limes. Let's put some other things in there. So we have our garlic. Then we need 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. I'm going to put in a few more. 1, 2, probably do 3. Then let's do olive oil. The olive oil, it called for a 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons. I am not going to do that. I'm going to do 3 tablespoons. 2, 3. And I'll put them all in this little mini hand blender thing that I have. So where's my other lid? Done with those. Okay, so let's put in some other stuff that goes in there. We've got the garlic, we've got the oil, we've got the red wine vinegar. Let's do black pepper. Calls for a 1/4 teaspoon, but I'm making more of this, so I'm going to double that. The one thing that I'm not going to put too much in is the cumin. When you put in too much cumin, you ruin the taste. It's just, actually, it's the one thing that you don't want to do too much of. It calls for a 3/4 teaspoon. Because I'm doing more, I'm going to put in just a little bit more, but not too much more. So that was a tablespoon, a heaping tablespoon, I would say. Okay, we got the cumin. We'll just stick that over to the side. What else do we need? We need some salt. It calls for 3/4 since we're doing extra. Wow, it's got a little hole at the bottom. That'll make a mess in a hurry. Let's put in a teaspoon of salt. Okay, good stuff. What else do we need here? We need oregano. I like to put a little bit more oregano in than, so oregano is one of the things that I would put a bit more in. It calls for a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to put in a heaping. Calls for a 1/4 teaspoon, did I say that? Yeah, I'm going to put in a heaping teaspoon. Okay, next, let's check out the chipotle peppers. So I opened up, let me come show you guys this. I opened up my can of chipotle peppers, and this is what it looks like on the inside. See that? Okay, so those are like little onions. We're going to, those can go in. We're going to blend those up. It's fine. You can see it coming out there. Okay, so this is what the actual, oh, this pepper has a, this is what the actual peppers look like. Let me come over closer. A chipotle pepper. I am going to cut that stem off. We do not need to eat the stem. I'm not even sure if you can. I've actually never seen one in here with a stem on it. So I'm just going to cut this stem off of that. I'm going to throw it in, seeds and all. We need at least 2 of these guys. Those are some more onions. There's another one. Oh, there's a big one. Let's put in 3. It calls for 2, but it wasn't spicy enough last time. Last time I made this, I followed the recipe exact, and it was pretty mild. Let's put in 3, and then let's find a lot of this adobo sauce. I think that adobo sauce is mainly tomato paste. Let's read what these ingredients are. Dun, 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 dun. Water, chipotle pepper, onion, tomato, vinegar, salt, soybean oil, sugar, condiments, and spices. So onion, tomato, and chipotle peppers mainly. It's really the sauce I want out of here. We are going to add honey to cut the spice. So that'll be great. So we got the 3 peppers. We got some of the adobo sauce. I don't know, should we put in 4 peppers? That might be too spicy. If it's not too spicy on the way in, it might be too spicy on the way out, if you know what I mean. And we don't need that. Nothing fun about that. Okay. So we got that. Then I think that what we're going to do next, what we're missing in here is we're missing the honey and the lime juice. But because I think it's going to take me a few minutes to get the lime juiced. And what I'm doing with my honey, oh, I'm so lucky. I have neighbors across the street. Last year I had neighbors across the street. They have a beehive in their backyard, and they were selling these tubs of honey for maybe 20 bucks. So it's a little bit crystallized. So I've just got it in the sink full of hot water. And once that's a little bit soft, then I'm going to add it to our mixture. So for now, I'm going to give the video a little bit of a pause, and I'm going to juice the limes. See you in a minute. Okay, so we got the lime juiced. I am not throwing away the pulp. I am saving that pulp, but I did juice the lime. How many limes did I do? I think I did two full limes. And it looks like the honey has softened up. So we are going to put in some honey into there. That's about 1 teaspoon. How much does this take? 2 tablespoons, I mean. Let's see. Honey is so sticky. I'm really lucky to have this honey. Unfortunately, my neighbors are no longer there. And I'm not sure if the person who took over knows how to make honey. No, I should go knock on the door and ask. Will you be continuing the honey production from the backyard? So I'm just going to put the lid on, and then we're just going to blend this. So the blade inside should be doing all the work, mixing, it should be chopping up the garlic, mincing it really tiny, also mincing those chipotle peppers. and blending the honey as well. Pretty sure we got everything. So the dressing part, being thinner is best. So you really do want everything in there really blended well. And we could use a blender for it, but it's such a little container of sauce. It packs a big punch though, so don't think that this is just too little. It's going to be amazing. We are going to check it out, and probably we need to see if our garlic is mashed up well enough. I think it needs more. See, we still have these chunks in there. We do not want chunks. We do not want chunky dressing. So I'm gonna figure this out a little bit more. I'm gonna keep spinning the little mini hand blender, and we'll get to you guys in a second when we start on putting it all together with our onion and peppers and avocados and tomatoes and corn, and the black beans are still over there on the stove. So we'll get this processed a little bit more, and we'll talk to you very, very soon. Hey, okay, so here's where we're at. We have finished the sauce. It looks like this. Still got a little bit of chunks in there, but one of the things that you're going to do is you're going to taste this. I've already tasted it and cleaned my hands and everything like that. It's spectacular. Like, we nailed it. Like, it's probably going to be one of the best salsas that we made. So the next thing that we do now that we have our sauce made is I'm going to use the food processor, but listen, you guys, if you don't have a food processor, use your cutting board and a knife. So I've got my red onion, and I am going to put that in my food processor first because I want it the smallest of all the stuff that I have in there. So I'm just going to give it a quick chop, and probably not necessary. The food processor would do the work, but I want to make sure that this is going to be pretty little. No one needs to have a big chunk of raw purple onion in their mouths. That's not very nice. So we're going to use this blade. We're going to stick it in our food processor, and we are going to get to work on the main part of the salsa here. So we'll just put in all our onion. Saw a little piece of the onion that needs to go in there. And then let's go like this. I'm going to pulse it a little bit. But listen, so you guys, if you don't have a food processor, just mince it. And you might think that bigger chunks are better, but in salsa, that's actually opposite. You want little ones. The corn and black beans stayed whole, so that gives us enough chunky stuff right there. It really is actually quite a chunky salsa. So that is a little. Let me show you what that one looks like. You can see that. So there's the red onion. Next, we're going to put in our orange peppers. So I've prepped the orange peppers. Same thing. I'm just going to give these a rough chop. We're going to throw them in. Oh, that was a juicy one. few more to do. It was the coolest when I was opening up one of these orange peppers. Inside the pepper was another little baby pepper growing. It was like a pregnant orange pepper. And then there was a third little pepper growing on the inside. Oh, here, I haven't chopped that one up yet. That was the third little pepper. It was so cute. That was the second little pepper that was on the inside of the first pepper. I've never seen that before. Kind of makes me feel like a monster chopping up this orange pepper, actually. How crazy is that? We're nuts. Okay, so let's put that in our food processor. And then we're going to just pulse that. You'll see I have another food processor blade here. It's because when I do up the tomatoes, I like my tomatoes chunky. I love adding the tomatoes to this because it gives a little bit of extra moisture. I'm thinking of some of my girlfriends right now who hate the word moist. It's going to make it moist. Okay, that's pretty good. And then the last thing that we're going to add to this food processor is some cilantro. The cilantro doesn't need to be in big pieces. Little pieces are great. We are going to give that a little chop before we add this in. Probably add a bit of it. I'm going to save these stalks because I can use these stalks in one of the smoothies that I make. And some people hate cilantro. Hey, if you hate cilantro, don't put it in. No problem. It's just actually no big deal for you to omit any of the things you don't like. If you don't like tomatoes, don't add tomatoes. If you don't like avocado, omit the tomatoes. Tomatoes, tomatoes. Potatoes. All right, so let's call the whole thing out. So we're just going to add the cilantro and mix that around. And I'll show you guys what the final product of this food processor blend looks like before we get going on the tomatoes. The tomatoes are so much fun in the food processor. This is one of the kitchen accessories that it's taken me 20 years to acquire because it was quite expensive. Well, I mean, it was, pricier than what I would normally spend on a kitchen appliance, but I love having a food processor. That is looking, oh look, one little piece of cilantro didn't get loaded in. This is actually looking fabulous, you guys. I'm going to take it off of there. That big piece of cilantro can stay. I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then I'm going to switch out my machine to do my tomatoes. So this is what it's going to look like. You mince yours down by hand. If you only have a knife and cutting board, if you have a food processor, do this. If you have a blender, see if you can pulse it to this in one of your blenders. So, see you in a minute. Okay, so we're just about ready for the tomatoes. So I took my slicing blade and I put it to about number 2. Let's see if I can show you quite how it's going to be pretty thin. Not sure if you can see the angle on that. That looks bigger than, well, actually, it looks quite a bit bigger than what it is. Let's get that down a little bit smaller. We don't want these sliced too thickly. We want them sliced pretty thin because it is salsa. And we need to be able to scoop it up with our nachos without breaking our nachos, right? So let's go ahead and start slicing up these little tomatoes in our food processor. So it's going to be a bit noisy for a second. see what it looks like in here. Oh, there's quite a few tomatoes. This is perfect. And we are going to use all of these and all the tomato juice that came out of them. Let me show you what that looks like. Come on. Looks pretty good, right? Okay, so we gave the room a little bit of a groom. We're just about ready to put the whole thing together. The last thing that we need to do is something about these little avocados. So we're going to cut them. So we've cut them in half. We've taken the seed out. The skin is still on. We're just going to put little slits through it like this with our knife. And once we have them cut the way we want, we're just going to squeeze them right out of the skin into our salsa. So we didn't put these in our food processor because, hey, who doesn't like to have a little chunk of avocado? I know I do. Love guacamole. Something I don't really have a great recipe for is guacamole. Do any of you guys have a good recipe for guacamole? That'd be cool if you did. Okay, so see how we made these little squares with our knife? Then we are going to just kind of work it around. See, like that? We're going to just gently squeeze these out. It doesn't matter if it mushes up a little bit. It's no problem. If we can't squeeze it out, we can always just stick our fingers in and just slide it right out of the avocado. So we're going to do that in a second. In the meantime, let us put some of this together. So this is our cilantro, red onion, and orange pepper. We have our tomatoes. Let's mix those together. See all the juice? Oh, look at all the juice coming out. We love that. Awesome. Okay, let's give that a little blend it up. Takes a little bit to blend it up. I also have our corn here. So I just took frozen corn. I ran it under hot water in my strainer or colander, whatever you want to call it. And now I'm going to add it to that. We're going to need that again because remember, we still have those black beans on the stove. We're going to mix that around. And we still have our sauce sitting right here. We still haven't added our sauce yet, but we do want to mix that around a little bit. I am going to get these avocados in here. So let's see if we can squeeze these out. I'll let the little piece get on. These, and like in all fairness, these avocados are a little bit firm. So it might take me a second to get the avocados out. I'm going to work on that, however, and maybe get the black beans off the stove. We're going to add the whole thing. I'll mix it around, and I'll show you guys the end product of this beautiful, delicious, game-changing salsa. Okay, so we had to change strategies a little bit with the avocado because they were too unripe. So I had to peel the skin off of them, and now I'm just chopping up the avocado. If your avocados were the proper softness, then that other technique would have worked out perfectly. But because these ones were too firm, we're just going to chop them up. And like I said earlier, I like chunky avocado, so it won't be minced. Just be chopped up. And from here, we're going to put it all together. So as you can see behind me, the pot is off the stove. The black beans were done cooking. So what we had done with the black beans, you guys, we started them as dry black beans. And I soaked them overnight. They say that they only need to soak for 6 hours. After they were done soaking, they were still very, very firm. And the water had turned black, which was super cool. I put them in a pot and I brought it to a boil. I boiled it for a little while, maybe 10-15 minutes. and then I turned it down and I let it simmer while I did the rest of this. It says that it needs to simmer for over an hour, and although this video is only 30 minutes long, I've had to pause quite a few times, as you may have noticed. We had kids come in the kitchen who needed lunch, and I've been grooming the room as I went. I like to keep the room groomed. Okay, so there's our avocado. We got our avocado chopped up just how I like it. We have our bowl of our corn, our red onion, our cilantro, our tomatoes, and our orange pepper. And we are going to put this all together. Behind me I have the black beans that I took off the stove. They were hot. I drained them. I bathed them in cold water. I wanted to remove the heat. We don't need hot salsa. We need cold salsa. So I think that I'm going to mix this all in the big bowl. I like mixing things in bowls that are bigger than what I need to serve them in. I find it gives me more room to work. So I'm going to put all of that in this big one. I'm going to take, oh, it smells good. I am going to take my avocados. I'm going to put those in. Yay. That's great. We're going to take our black beans. How many black beans, you ask? You know, I don't know what you're going to like. I'm going to put in that many black beans. Probably a couple cans if you're using cans of black beans. I feel like you get more for your money. Beans can be expensive. If you buy them dry, I think the price point is quite a bit better. So that's what I do. So now that I got this in my big bowl, I'm going to mix it all around. And you can still see that we have the sauce sitting there. We haven't added it yet, but I am going to give you a look at what this looks like mixed up. So, such a fun process. So here, check it out. Yay! And for the final step, we're going to put on the sauce. So this is what that sauce looks like. Just put in the sauce. We want all that sauce. Don't leave any of the dressing or the sauce in its container. Get yourself out a spatula, one that's small enough to get into the bottom of your measuring cup. Get it all out. And we're just going to mix this up. Now, after we're done mixing it up, we're definitely going to have to taste it and see if it's the right ratio of sauce to stuff. We'll see how that tastes, and we're going to go get some nachos and we're going to eat. But that is basically all there is to it. So if you guys find that it's got too little dressing or too little sauce, make some more. Make some more dressing and add some more to it. And if you find that the taste of your dressing isn't exactly right, if it's a little bit, if it doesn't taste good, you may have added too much cumin. That's what I think anyways. So add less cumin or add some things to, what's the word? Anyways, to just water it out a little bit. All I'm going to say about that, you guys enjoy the salsa. I hope that you love it as much as we do. As always, I love you kids. Take care.